1470 AM and W298BX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina. WNOS 1450 AM and W272EK 102.3 FM, licensed to New Bern, North Carolina.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Awesome Radio, WECU 1570 AM, 107.5 FM, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. You are tuned into the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We're going to pick up where we left off last week, and our cliffhanger is snowbirds. And in addition to snowbirds, there's also snowbird people. And I think that's a derivative of the snowbird. So here's Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, and to our listening audience on today, we are so glad to be here. So glad that it is, and look, it's Wednesday again. The week came around so fast, and it's Wednesday again. I have a few things, too, that I want to say about the weather. I must talk about the weather. I'm having an issue, and we had that cliffhanger last week about the snowbirds, and I was told that the snowbirds, and I see these white birds over near where my job is, and I saw a wonderful formation where they got up and there was a huge, it was a lot of them, and they made this big circle and flew around and then just went back down on the ground. And I said, wow, what are those things? What are those birds? So we were talking about the actual birds, and our caller cat called in, it's the Pepper Man.
Yeah, the Pepper Man.
Pepper Man called in and said, those are snowbirds, called snowbirds, and they are probably snowbirds, and they are there before it snows. Well, yeah. I want to say, first of all, it didn't snow. The snowbirds, that theory may or may not be true. Just like, and I'm just saying, we all were expecting to be some snow, and we thought that was going to happen, and I know that a lot of people were in alarm. They were up and they were hitting the grocery stores, buying out things, and we did not get a flake.
But there's nothing we can do about that, but sometimes they have to be prepared in the event of inclement weather. So that's why. And I was supposed to have a speaking engagement this coming Friday, but it was postponed due to the supposed inclement weather that they were expecting.
Yes, Dr. Glenn. And I just want to say, I do have an issue with these weathermen. They're getting it wrong too many times. It's one thing, to say that it is possible, but the way this thing is being put out all over the airways and everywhere, it's like it's real, and it hasn't happened. And then it's the predictions I have a problem with. 11 to 14 inches. So I took it upon my little nosy self, Dr. Glenn, my inquisitive and nosy self, and I went and I looked up to see when Greenville had 11 inches of snow. You know how long it's been since Greenville had 11 inches of snow?
Probably back in the 1800s.
1973.
1973.
I'm talking about, I was like 3 years old maybe back then.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why do they keep saying this? Give us 1 inch first. We haven't had 1 inch this year.
I was 13 at the Jersey Shore. I was 13 years old.
Yeah, so look at what we're talking about, how long it's been. Not saying that it's not a possibility, but all the people that went and bought all these things, they're buying generators, expecting the power to go out, expecting this, that, and the other. At least they're prepared. But prepared for what? You're causing an uproar, and I even remember being out of school, one day, and we were thinking it was going to snow, and nothing happened. There has to be some accountability. The equipment is off or something.
All right, but here's the thing with the news people, particularly the meteorologists. In this particular region, they're often it's not that they're wrong or incorrect. They're just going by calculations. Their calculations may happen, it might not happen, but in some other areas, it will happen, just as they predicted.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen in this area.
And that
as he
definitely
predicted.
is a possibility that it did happen in some other areas. There were places that they predicted snow and they got the snow. But I'm about to I'm gonna have to start using a bad knee or arthritic knee to tell when it's if it's gonna snow or rain or something, because I'm like, these predictions I'm feeling like I could do is good. I'm not liking it, and now we're gearing up again this weekend. Let's see if we get it.
But see,
I'll come back and humble myself if we get 11 inches this
yeah,
weekend.
but that's why I asked you that question a couple weeks ago. What is the difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny? To me, it means the same thing. Because if it's partly cloudy, that means it's partly sunny. If it's partly sunny, that means it's partly cloudy. So to me, essentially, it means the same thing.
It definitely does. And so the snowbirds, let's go back to that because we have a document here about the people that are named after the snowbirds. So I looked up some things because when he says snowbirds, the birds that I see that are under the title of snowbirds don't actually look like the birds that I see. The larger birds, snowbirds, when they're showing them for North Carolina, is a small bird is black on top with white under its belly. These birds that I'm talking about, they have more white on them. And I looked them up and I tracked it down and I had to see what it was. These are actually a type of gull or seagulls that I'm actually seeing.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about the migration of them, and because I saw so many of them, I know there has to be a migration. But then again, there are some that stay in this state and they never leave. There's some gulls that stay here, and then there's some that migrate, by large numbers. I was thinking that how many I saw there had to be a migration because, they just came and they stayed for a couple of days and then they dispersed. So they can live here the whole time in the state, and some of them do migrate. But it's a type of gull that I'm seeing because they're nice size. They're not as big as the pelicans or those storks, they don't have the long legs, but they are bigger than the snowbirds.
But see, you yourself don't actually know if any of those birds that you saw may be a part of a migration group that was just with that group, because they could be flying somewhere and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm up out of here. I'm going to the group that's migrating.
Right.
There's no way for you as a human to know that.
Right.
Unless you put a tracking device on them and track them.
Right, and that's exactly the truth. We don't know if those are birds that are migrating or they are some that stay here and they're just coming in this area and just moving down. Because some of them, they live down there permanently, or that's where they take resident closer to the beach areas. And, it talked about them that they're thieves, they'll steal your food, and they like trash dumps and different places where they can scavenge food, and talked about them in those type of areas.
And also, it's not that that's because that's where the beach area is, because I'm telling you, I have seen this, and that's why I knew what the Pepperman were talking about. As you know, I'm originally from the Jersey Shore, live one block from the ocean. So I remember seeing those large groups of birds near the beach where the ocean is.
Mm-hmm.
And they were heading up north. They were not north. They were heading down south where the warmer climate was, not just because the beach. They was going where it was warm.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to get out of here. And so some of them, it is springtime, and some of them may be coming back.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about it. And like I said, we're not experts. We were looking at a thing, and we're examining it and trying to see what is what with it. And so, I love this show, Motivations with Glenn, because we can delve into things that we can get information about. And as we talked about on our last two shows, and we came up with just on-the-spot subjects, there's sometimes things that are in our atmosphere and around us all the time, and we're just walking blind and dumb, and we're not paying attention to it, like where pepper came from. When we talked about that last week, I didn't know black pepper came from India. I thought about that I never see anybody growing any here, but we needed to know the truth. And so I do like the fact that we're able to grow and expand some knowledge here on Motivations with Dr. Glenn.
Yeah, in about 40 seconds, we're about to go to our first break. Then we'll be back with another 10-minute segment. And perhaps the Pepperman is listening, and perhaps he can call in after we come back from the first break and then dose us with a little more information on the snowbird, because we do have one more other document on snowbird people, and I think that's just derived from the snowbird itself. When snowbird people actually migrate to warmer climates to get out of the climate that's colder. So perhaps that's the peppermint could call it after that. Apostle?
Yeah, definitely. We want you to come right on back. We're coming right back after this break, and we're even going to give you the call in information. This is Awesome Radio, Motivations with Glenn.
Awesome Radio. Hello, my name is Tracy, and you're listening to Awesome Radio. Thank you.
Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome, awesome, can you feel it? Awesome, awesome radio. Yes, awesome, can you hear it? Awesome radio.
Thank you for listening to the Awesome Radio Network. Visit us online, awesomeradionetwork.org. Choose the station you would like to listen to on the radio dial or online. Awesome Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacquline Cullins Williams. I'm going to hand it back over to Apostle to continue where she just left off. Apostle?
Yes, so we're talking about snowbirds, and as I said, I appreciate being able to delve into information. If you want to call in and you want to be live on the air with me and Dr. Glenn, you have something you want to say, something you want to add, you can call in right now and we will answer. We're live in the studio. The phone number here is 252-756-2008. You can call in and you can be live on the air with me and Dr. Glenn. And so we're going to continue to talk about these snowbirds. And we know that some of you, like myself, have noticed them out there. You may have more information. Bring it and tell us, and we'd love to hear from you. Even our pepper man, if he would call in and tell us more about, because he said that they're showing up when it's getting ready to snow, and maybe the birds got tricked like we did. Maybe the birds came over here thinking it was going to snow and it didn't.
Well, I want to point out something else too. This is just birds in general. You know, they wasn't migrating, but my neighbor across the street from me, apparently he used to have somebody cut his grass. He decided he was going to cut it himself. He has a riding lawnmower. He's on the lawnmower with a big old sombrero on, just riding. All of a sudden he looked back. None of the grass was cut. I can imagine what he thought. The reason why it wasn't cut, he forgot to lower the brakes on the mower.
Wow.
I'm in my garage looking at him. I like to hit the floor.
Yeah, we all have had some brain freezes with some things at times. So let's look at the snowbirds that are people. This, I believe, is an imitation of what the birds do, and they call these snowbird people after how the birds migrate to warmer climates.
Exactly.
You know, there are people that, as Dr. Glenn said, when it gets cold and it starts snowing in certain parts of the country or up north mostly, these people will have other properties and they will migrate to a warmer climate.
There's a lot of northerners that have properties in the south because they want to escape the harsh winters during the winter up north.
Definitely, and we see this in culture, in different cultures, and even in our own. We see people that are vacationing in other countries during the holiday season because they're going there because it is warm. They're going to warmer places, and they're spending Christmas and Thanksgiving and, New Year's in a warmer climate. And it says here, a snowbird is a person who migrates from the colder northern parts of North America to warmer southern locales, typically during the winter. The southern locales include the Sun Belt and Hawaii in the United States, as well as Mexico and the Caribbean. Snowbirds used to primarily be retired or older, but are increasingly of all ages.
Yeah.
Conversely, a snowbird is one who leaves warmer locales in the summer, migrating to cooler locales such as higher elevations or more northerly regions.
Yeah, because I do know some younger individuals who also migrate to the south from the north during the winter.
Oh yeah, and some of the islands like Belize and the other ones off the coast of the U.S. where the temperatures are a little bit more mild, Mexico and different things. There's a lot of people that have houses. They're buying property in these other regions and they're
Yeah.
vacationing there.
Now, I don't want to get off the subject, but you mentioned two words I want our listening audience to know. In some countries, what Apostle said, holiday, in some countries, a holiday is actually vacation, and vice versa. A vacation is a holiday. So if you're in another country, you say, well, I'm here on holiday. They don't actually know that you're talking about vacation because in their mind, a vacation or a holiday is a vacation,
Yes.
and vice versa.
Yes, well, some of them, when we're talking about the snowbirds, they actually live for a certain amount of months in those places and then go back and live. They have a main house where they spend most of the time, and then they have these vacation homes or vacation spots that they go and they occupy during the time when it's cold. They'll go to another country or down, like we said, to the Bahamas or to these islands or even to Hawaii where it stays relatively warm all the time.
And their main spot up north probably could be during the period of April to August.
April to August, yes. And then as soon as that cold wind starts coming in and the chill gets in their bones, they get the mind to get up and leave and then come back.
They be out there with the quickness.
Yes, and let me tell you something. A lot of times we'll have the mindset that those are rich people. It's people that are everyday, normal people. They just have learned where to put their money, how to invest. They came upon some good opportunities and they took it. And they went ahead and they were able to buy in other countries. A lot of times people feel like, well, I can't do this or I can't do that because I don't have the money like that. You have the money like that. You just choose what you spend it on. Because, if we start looking at people's finances and things that they like that they spend money on, they probably have more than enough to buy in some of the other countries or invest or to do some things that would expand their life.
And speaking of money, right quick, I just got the audio and video today from a husband and wife couple who would never walk past a penny. They would save all the pennies to dimes and quarters, put it all in a big jar, a big jug, like a big spring water jug. For 2 years, they went to cash in. I stopped the video when they went to the coin store machine with the jugs and was putting the coins in the machine. I stopped when they reached $700. And that wasn't even half of the bucket, half of the water jug that they had it in. I stopped the video at $700 that they had put in the machine.
Wow, just hanging on to loose change. And
Yeah.
now I'm just saying, Dr. Glenn, I don't have as much loose change anymore because I use everything. I use that card. The digital, it's just so much easier not to be running around and worried about getting change back. It just works better for me.
Well, like I said, I didn't want to get off the subject, but I'll tell you one other thing. I used to think the same way, but I use my cards a lot. But when I do use cash, I get the coins back from the cashier, I started saving them. And you wouldn't know it, lo and behold, I was waiting for a deposit. I was down some money. So I said, well, let me just go grab my change jug and take that over to Food Line, put it in the coin store. This one particular time, it had a small amount of coin. I had no idea it was going to amount to $42.
Wow, it definitely can. And even right now, I have some coins down in my, we keep them in the car sometime, which is actually what we shouldn't do because if somebody's hungry or they looking and they don't have anything, they might see your car and make you a target because of the fact that you have that change in there.
They give wanted that change. You just gave them an opportunity to commit a crime that they probably had no idea they were going to do that day.
Right, and there are people that are trolling that are doing just that. They're looking for an opportunity like that. But sometimes that little change, I say, well, I don't think I have anything in my account. I look over there, I got $5 worth of change in that thing, and I can go get. Usually I don't want anything that much, but maybe I want some gum or something.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. At that time, I put my jar. It was $42. I went to Food Line. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I used to stock it up like that. But now, and the penny is no longer being made. So that's another thing, too, is that, you need to take time and look at those pennies and see if there's value to the pennies because their pennies are going to, that's one of the things that they're stopping.
So we have 1 minute to go before we go to our next break. Then we'll be back to start our topic again, part 2 on Black history. Now I have some awesome audio clips, including Black history theme song and Black history gospel. But unfortunately, I won't be able to play those today because I missed the part that plays the audio through the system. For 40 seconds, I'm going to give it to the apostles to take us out to the break. Then we'll be back with Black history.
Hey, we're getting ready to bring out some good facts. Last week, I left us with a cliffhanger talking about the flag and what it represents. And I am sad that Dr. Glenn doesn't have the theme song for Black History Month. But hey, we're coming into February, and we want to be prepared and excited about Black History Month. I posed the question, why is it important to look at Black History Month and to remember Black History Month? And I have a few answers here that I'm going to read off to you when we come back. We're going to look at the colors of the flag and some other things. Hey, come on right back after this break. We'll be right here waiting for you, and stay excited about what we're going to present.
Hello, this is Akila speaking here from the Awesome Radio Network. We are your vehicle to help drive the gospel of Jesus throughout all the world and to every creature. If God has placed radio ministry on your heart, we'd love to connect with you. Our number is 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. We are Awesome Radio. We're growing. Thank you for growing with us.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU, Woodville, Greenville, North Carolina. We're going to begin our part 2 of Black History Month. Here's Apostle Jacquline Cullins Williams.
Yes, why is it important to honor and to remember Black History Month? The reason, well, some of the reasons that it's important, and that could vary by different people and different opinions, but one of the things, and I think that this reason is absolutely proven, even with our last show, as Dr. Glenn talked about the young lady that helped make the American flag, but was never honored. And, you know, throughout all this time, she was 13 years old, and she helped us to make the flag, but we had never heard of her.
Yeah, nobody ever heard of her. Grace Wisher was 13-year-old enslaved black girl that helped create the American flag.
So that's one of the reasons, and one of the most important reasons, I believe, is to honor overlooked achievements of African Americans. Because there's a lot of times in history, you know, there are always people that want to take credit for something and say, I did it and I did it alone. Oh, this is me and it's mine. And, you know, I'm going to tell you this truth. Everybody in life has help from somebody at some point, you know, and there are people in life that come and give you a word of encouragement. There's somebody that may give you information, though maybe you have the whole main idea, but there's some information on the side that they can give you to help boost your main ideal up to 1,000, whereas you would have only been at 200 or at 100. So we all have help in life. Nobody just you know, they had a thing back in time that said about being a self-made man. There's no self-made people. It takes all of us in order to get to greatness. Greatness just doesn't come by yourself. I like to find a person and say, nobody ever helped me.
That's hard to swallow.
Yeah, because somebody helped you.
Because somebody helped.
That's right.
And he had to look to God, look to Jesus Christ for help.
So let's look at that Black History Month and understand the importance is to showcase, you know, the gifts, the talents, and the contributions of overlooked Black people. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, I work with people sometimes and they'll just put the focus on one person. Now, the other person or the other people may be just as important. And that's how we have to look at Black history. I want to say this too. I saw a post about, and it was just in one of our local groups, and they were asking in the group about Black business owners and put it there. Do you know there were people giving resistance to wanting people to post about black business owners in this region. What's the issue? A lot of times we need to celebrate our own. And a lot of times we don't see those options presented there where we can go to them. And then I want to say this as black people, make sure that you're making a good impact. Make sure that you are doing well by people so that you are a good option. Or people don't feel like they don't want to go to you because you're going to rob them. Feel like they don't want to go to you because your prices are too high. Feel like they don't go to you because you're dishonest. Let's have some good options out there so when some of the other places aren't treating us well, we can go over to our own.
I agree with you because everybody needs to sit down and look at themselves and evaluate choices and changes. Sometimes you might need to change to better yourself.
And understand, let's look at the flags of Black History Month. And I had asked about the flag, and I know it's probably been around. We've seen it, and I've seen it, and probably just didn't pay attention to the fact that I already knew the colors. But the colors for Black History Month are red, black, and green. Those are the colors, red, black, and green. Those represent the colors for Black History Month. And then they're very closely, the colors are very closely to the Jamaican flag, isn't it? Your Jamaican has yellow on theirs though, right?
Look at that second page.
The second page, Dr. Glenn says.
Yeah, the
And then
Jamaican
it
flag
has
yellow.
yellow on there.
Yeah.
Resembling the flag of Ethiopia. This flag is flown in honor of Ethiopia's ability to resist colonial takeover and represents Pan-African ideas. And I know Dr. Glenn mentioned Pan-Africa or Pan-African ideas. Pan-Africanism is what it's called.
Yeah, Pan-Africanism.
So Dr. Glenn, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to try to explain that. He knows a lot more in that area than I do off the top of my head. But I wanted you to see that these colors here, each one of them has a representation. The color represents, each, the red, the black, and the green represent something. And then also we see that other flags are very close to the Black History Month flag. And there's nothing wrong with even wearing those colors on Black History Month, celebrating Black History Month.
But first, let me explain what the colors represent. The red actually symbolizes the blood of both shed for liberation and the shared blood of the African people. The black represents the people itself, affirming their race and identity. The green represents the vibrant natural wealth and growth of Africa.
Definitely.
Now, you have mentioned Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
Let me just explain a little bit about what that is. Then I want to share something with you. So Pan-Africanism is a movement that aims to encourage and strengthen bonds of solidarity between all indigenous people of Africa. That's just a basic description of Africanism in a nutshell. So what I want to point out to you, I think some individuals, and also African nationalists, but I got problems with African nationalists. Now I study Pan-Africanism as a part of my African studies at Temple University. What I have a problem with this is the African nationalists also uses the red, black, and green flag. And I think sometimes they take it to the extreme. They're supposed to be caring and nurturing and assisting people. But I think sometimes they take it too far. They want to be more or less a radical group. And they're not supposed to be radical. And I want to share with this one story. For instance, I was at a Greenville City Council meeting a couple years ago. And I knew this one gentleman. He was a participant of African nationalism. And the demeanor that he showed at the council meeting was unbelievable. He was 2 seconds away from all the police just grabbing him and taking him out of that building. And when I met up with him later, I said, look, let me explain something to you. What you just showed in that council meeting was total disrespect and disregard. You know, you showed a complete disruption, and you jeopardized the security. They had to be right to take you out of there. And you know what? I said if they had did that, then you would have had a problem with that. So you have to be mindful of what you're doing and how you're talking to people.
Definitely. And I think on last week we talked about, or week before, we asked, and we were talking about Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. And I asked the question, could nonviolence operate now in today's society when we want to get our point across, or there's something that we want people to hear? You know, being belligerent and acting like that and I call it unseemly. I think you could get your point across without being offensive, yelling and acting out of character, or even getting into violence. I don't know. That nonviolence stance is a Christian stance too. It's not just nonviolence.
But here's what I think. I think we moved away from violence and stuff, and now when we demonstrate, we don't demonstrate with violence. We don't march. We occupy. Have you ever noticed that?
That we just occupy?
We just occupy.
Well, or we exist. I don't know if we occupy in every space or just existing in every space. You know, and when we come back, I'm going to talk too a little bit about that. Slavery is white history. How we survived it is black history.
That's
I
right.
thought on it a little bit, Dr.
That's
Green.
right.
And I'm coming back this week with a few more things I think we need to say about that. It was very powerful statement. We're getting ready to go out on another break. We have a few more segments. Come back, and we'll be right here, right back in a moment.
Awesome Radio Network is gearing up for our annual Mother's Day and Father's Day gift bag giving for the residents at McGregor Downs Health Center. $10 will sponsor one bag. If you would like to donate towards this community event, contact us 252-756-3137. And together we can show the love of Jesus, encourage and brighten the hearts of the residents during their stay at the McGregor Downs Health Center, Greenville. Donor's name, organization can be attached to the cards if desired. To learn more about this annual community event, contact us at 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. We are a 501c3 organization under Community Care Fellowship doing business as Awesome Radio Network, where God gets the glory.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That certainly didn't take long at all. So Apostle says you want to come back and talk about the slavery as white history, how we survived it as black history. That was a sweatshirt being worn by the Honorable former Vice President and former presidential candidate Kamala Harris, along with the Honorable former First Lady Michelle Obama. So I meant to bring an updated version of that document, but I failed to do so. So Apostle, my bad. I did do some further research and find out that the sweatshirts that they had on, along with T-shirts, are available for purchase. I don't want to mention what those different places might be, but if you just Google it, and you'll see, just type in or hit the button for shopping, you'll see that this T-shirt will come up. It's entitled Slavery is White History, How We Survived It is Black History, sweatshirt or T-shirt. Apostle.
Yeah, so Dr. Glenn, when I looked at that, I mean, basically, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it embodies everything. How we survive it. That black history is how we survived it. It's a documentation of how we went through it. And I think that it just left out us overcoming it and also creating a culture out of it, because that's how we are, and that's who we are today, is that we are a culture that was created out of slavery, that birthed and came through slavery. And
Well, wait a
also,
minute. That's probably what you mean. You be short with it. You just you can't put all that on a T-shirt or a shirt.
I know, but I'm just saying it doesn't embody it all. We did more than survive. We also discovered our brilliance. We understood who we are, and we also,
But I think all that would fall under what she's trying to say.
what she's trying to say, okay. Well, and then, is Kamala a part of that struggle? I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course she is.
Okay.
Of course she is.
Okay.
See,
Did her ancestors have to survive? There were some questions about that during the election.
I know, but see, Apostle don't like to leave nothing out. She wants every little thing, every detail. She wants the totality of the situation.
Yeah.
So that's the word they use in law. Totality. That's everything.
Well,
They don't want to miss nothing.
They can make one and say we discovered our brilliance, because that's what happened. It was more than just survival. We did more than survive. We thrived. You see a nation that was taken away from their homeland and forced to forget everything, was forced and had it beaten out of us. Some didn't forget, but it was a requirement that you forgot. You couldn't even operate in the old ways, and that's why even today so many of us don't know anything about Africa, because we were forced to forget it and we were integrated into another society. And some of the others where we saw things happening in history, they destroyed those people, but they left us alive.
And I'm going to share something with you, which is why my younger brother called me last week. He said, it's Black History Month coming up, but I want to remind you of something. Now he's talking to me, and I'm an older brother. This is my younger brother, the baby boy. He said, look, because of my heritage, I have some Caucasian blood, I have Native American blood running through my body. More African American, more African blood than Caucasian or Native American. But I have 3 different types of blood that's running through my body. So my brother said, look, don't forget I saw our people, because he used to live closer to them. He said, I went to my house. He saw one of my aunts. He said, look, she's 100% Indian. She was dressed in all the Indian attire and everything. He like to flipped out because he never saw that before.
Wow. Well, and you are telling the truth, Dr. Glenn. A lot of us have all 3, and myself included, and further generations back, depending on which side, you may see more of the heritage characteristics of the other races.
That's right.
In my bloodline.
And some other people, yeah. And a lot of people, you can tell there's a mixture of something.
Yeah.
Now, my grandfather was an actual original slave from the 1800s. How I came to be in existence is when my family moved from Richmond, Virginia to the Jersey Shore. And when my grandfather met my grandmother, her last name was Hawkins, but he got married to my grandmother. She became a Johnson, and through that union, my mother, her sister was my only aunt, and my 5 uncles came into existence, and that's why I'm here today, because of all them people.
Oh, yeah. And so, a lot of times, even the Indian heritage, we don't hear anything about it, and we don't know anything about it. We just know that it's a blood mixture, but we don't always track it back and find out what it is, and we don't get the benefits of it.
That's how I know we don't get the benefits. My Indian part of the family is they call it the Lenape tribe of Delaware and New Jersey. And it's not that I disassociate myself with them. It's just I'm here now, and they're more or less at the Jersey Shore. But the other thing is, there's some light. They look almost white, and I'm dark skinned. So I know there's some questions that be going on about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dr. Glenn, some of the Indians, they all were not light skinned. The Blackfoot Indian, Blackfoot.
Yeah, I know that. I know that part aspect of it.
Yeah, some of them were dark, and darker than us. Some even in other countries, the native people, the Aborigines, some of them are very dark. Those are a type of what we would call an Indian, or native people that are in those lands. So all over, and this African or black blood is in every nation. It's every place you look. That black blood or that African blood is in every nation.
I remember a gentleman came up. He said, look, I want to point something out to you. He said, I have a grandfather just as dark as you. I said, because that's just his skin tone. You don't have to be dark skinned to be black or called black. Just don't get that confused. I'm African American. A light skinned person could be African American just as well as a dark skinned person. We're all African American, so don't get that confused. Now you're Latin, your grandfather you're talking about, or I think he said an uncle, he's still Latin. He just have darker skin.
Yes, and that's what it is. They're just from another country, but they have that black blood in them. And I was going to say, oh, my Dr. Glenn, I had something right there on the tip of my mind, and where you were talking, it left.
You got your pad or you should have jotted it down.
I know, I should have jotted it down. I was right there to say something very interesting.
Well, we still have another 10 minutes after these 2 minutes. Maybe we'll come back to you.
Maybe it
So
will.
we have 2 more minutes before we go to the final break.
Maybe it will. And I was getting ready, I think, to talk about us coming into the month of February, that we are going to have a lot of information about people and things that were done by greatness that Black people have accomplished, or Black Americans have accomplished, that we want to highlight during the month of February.
Absolutely. And just to give you a slight tidbit, one of those individuals, his name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, also known as, hold on, his legal name is on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, they banned the dunk. The NBA banned the dunk. Now, they didn't say it was about Kareem, but everybody knows about Kareem. Because he was so great at it, they banned it, but they got it back. Now, his name is Lou Alcindor. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, is that his real name?
That's his
So
actual
was
company.
that like a Muslim name,
His
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Muslim name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, so that was his religion.
Yeah.
And he took his name, like Muhammad Ali.
Right.
His name was Cassius Clay. So,
Same thing.
yeah. So I saw here that Black History Month, before it was called Black History Month, it was called Negro History Week.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got rid of that name. I mean, how will we be on the air saying we're celebrating Negro History
The
Week?
word Negro and Negroid was banned by the United States government. It was supposed to be stricken from any government document that has those words on it.
Hopefully that is true.
It's supposed to be. If not, it's cause for a civil judgment.
Yes, and so we don't want to use those words either. In our culture, it has become acceptable. We're getting ready to go out on one more break. Hang in there, and I'm going to finish my sentence right back.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Keller Pippin's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Can you feel it? Awesome. Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Can you hear it? Awesome radio.
The Real Treasure Worship Event Center, a sacred, peaceful space designed for prayer, worship, and meaningful gatherings. More than just a venue, the Real Treasure is a living room to the city, a place to gather, rest, connect, and encounter God. Located at 410A Evans Street, downtown Greenville, please contact us at 252-412-3169 to set up an event.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Keller Pippin's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Can you feel it? Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Can you hear it? Awesome radio.
Thank you for keeping it locked right here to Awesome Radio, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams, here on Awesome Radio, WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. Apostle was about to say something when we went to the break, so here's Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
We were talking about, Dr. Glenn, Negro History Week.
Oh yeah,
and
Negroid and Negroid.
That's right, and how they changed those names, and how you said that it is in the government, the use of those words has been outlawed. And I was saying, people use the N word now culturally in our culture and have tried to make it okay, that it's not a negative term. And they're calling each other that name. I don't use it. And I still believe that it has a negative connotation.
Well, particularly the word Negroid. And what happened was a service member in the armed forces got shot down. He was in the Air Force. And when his mother went to get the documentation for his death, and all the documents from the Air Force, it had his race as Negroid. She got incensed, and she put her foot down and told them people, Negroid, are you kidding me? Ever since then, they had it stricken from any military document or any government document, including the VA and a host of other government departments. It's supposed to be stricken from the document.
In some other countries, they still use that to identify that this person has African heritage or African blood in some other countries.
Yeah, some other country, but as far as I know, and I have that document at home. I should have brought it with me, but I know for a fact that the government had organizations remove it from their documents. And just Census Bureau, I believe one of them was the IRS and the VA. They're supposed to have that word removed, Negro, and particularly Negroid.
Yes. So, Dr. Glenn, let me just ask you this. I'm going to jump right on out here and say it, and I'm just going way out with it. How do you feel about if even just you being a black man that, these young people with their language would walk up to you and say, what's up, my nigga? Because that's what they do.
Yeah, but I said, my name is Dr. Johnson. Thank you. Don't ever call me that again. I'm glad you said that because they're getting crazy out here. I don't want to downgrade anybody, but in Philadelphia, the NY hat, that people wear for New York, the New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
The young African-American guys in Philadelphia always say, I said, nice hat. They said, it's not a New York Yankee hat. This NY stands for young nigga. I said, will you please stop saying that?
Wow.
I think that's totally disgrading our African-American brothers.
And I think, Dr. Glenn, a lot of times as a race, we don't realize that there are different subcultures within our culture. There are other cultures or subcultures within our cultures that young people, they identify with, that sometimes we may not have any fellowship with or any idea.
Yeah, I know we don't.
Totally different language.
Yeah, because they have a total different mindset.
But we have to stay connected as a people, and we have to be able to reach even the subculture or be able to speak to them, because if we don't, who's leading? Who's leading? We are the leaders right now of tomorrow, and we're setting the pace for others to follow. But who's leading?
And that's what I said earlier. Sometimes it's time for a change. You have to change yourself, change your mindset, change your ideas, change a lot of things about yourself.
Definitely. And even speaking out for our culture, that we have some positive things on television. Everybody that is rich doesn't have to be rich because they know how to rap or get up there and act and take their clothes off. There's a lot of people that God is blessing regardless to not being on those television and being popular with a certain crowd.
But see, I hate to say it, but you just mentioned it. See, these millennials and the generation Z, they're all about making this fast money. Well, I want to be a rapper. I'm going to do that. I'm going to. Look, that might not happen. That's something you aspire to be. It might not go your way. You have to fall back on something else. How about an education?
Yes, and now we have another subculture of content creators. And a lot of our young people are following that on social media and trying to be like some of these people that show forth absolutely no moral character. And our young people are following them.
Yeah. I try to encourage some of these young folks, particularly when I see them out and about, to try to improve their lives so they can be helpful in improving somebody else's life.
The dream now is to not have a job. is to sit around on social media showing everything that's going on in your life. Every time you even expel air or something, they're showing everything and putting it on social media and making money from it.
Yeah, because I was watching a well-known television talk show host recently, and a young lady stood up in the audience and asked the host, "Well, what I want to know is, can you help me create my profile for my social media page?" I said, "You got to be kidding me." He looked at the girl like she was crazy.
Yes, and nothing is sacred and nothing. Some of them, they have all this fakeness trying to make their life look like it's so enriched and it's so up there. And a lot of the things that they're showing there is nothing but lies.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He responded, it was a male talk show. Everybody can just figure what I'm talking about. But he told her, look, first of all, what you don't want to do is put a lot of your personal information on there. That person don't need to know all that stuff. What you should try to do is try to ascertain as much information that you can about him. Don't let him worry about you. He might be taking it too far. Instead of you giving all your information, how about if you get information on him?
And keep some things private. It's not everybody's business about everything that goes on. It's some
That's
stuff
right.
you're never going to know about me because I'm not going to tell you and I'm not letting you in those areas.
That's right. We didn't want to get off the subject, but we had to get that out.
Oh, yeah.
We're down to our final 2 minutes of today's broadcast. But I think, like Apostle said, we'll be back next week with more on some of the figures that's associated with Black history, and probably in the future, they'll change it to African American history.
Well, how are these things that are making history now going to be looked at in the future? You know, these content creators and all of this stuff that we're seeing out there that's rising up as truth on social media.
Send me an email to that fact. Let me Google that and make that a part of next week as well.
That's right. So, hey, we're going to ask that you come back here next week. That's an interesting topic. How is what happening today going to be the history of tomorrow? How's that going to be looked at?
Write that down right quick so you won't forget. Email it to me.
I definitely will.
Because I know I'm going to forget as soon as I walk out this door. Because I have a brain injury. One of the things with brain injury is short-term and long-term memory. I try to remember things as much as I can, but sometimes I just forget. But so you write it down, so good. Email that to me so I won't forget. We'll have it available next week.
Yes, definitely. And we want to hear from you. You can call in and let that thing just mull it over in your mind. How is what we're seeing today going to make history or look towards history for tomorrow? There may be some things that have to be cut out.
That's our cliffhanger for next week. And Pepperman, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, we're expecting you to call in next week as well.
Definitely. And we appreciate hearing him, Pepperman. He's listening. He's somewhere listening. He said they're going to stop calling me Pepperman. He's going to tell us his real name.
He probably is saying that.
Well, catch the replay and call in next week. And let's see, what are we doing to make history now? What is that going to look like tomorrow?
And at the same time, Pepperman, you can indicate what your real name is.
Definitely. Hey, we're so grateful that you are on and you're listening. Oh, and that cliffhanger is going to be good. Let's look at that and examine it. And we hope to see you on next week. We hope you're ready to discuss these ideas. If you have any show ideas or topics you'd like for us to mention, email Dr. Glenn and we will definitely look at them.
And
Dr. Glenn?
my email address is GlennJohnsonShow@gmail.com. That's Glenn with 2 N's, GLENN, Johnston Show @gmail.com. I look forward to each and every one of you emailing me, and we'll talk again next week. Awesome.
We need a revolution. That's what I'm saying, Dr. Glenn.
Yeah, we need a revolution.
Hey, come on back next week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.